So
No, this is a conversation.
yeah, yeah. Unless you're addressing the audience,
Oh, like a question they ask?
a question they ask, you can still ask me. This is literally a conversation between us. It's kind of like what am I thinking of? The show anyway, where the person addresses the camera directly, talking to the audience out there. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But this is conversation between us. Far from that.
They're never going to do this without
That's what I was gonna say. I think. Utilize that strategy. we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Family Talk. I'd like to welcome you all to join us in a kind of virtual town hall meeting that we're having about Ohio's work plan or work group to develop one ISP for the state. Today, I have Kelly Fehrenbaugh and Kelly Mosley Miller with me today. They are from the office, I always get that word messed up, Office of System Support and Standards. They are the ones that will be chairing the Ohio ISP Workgroup, and they are here today to give us an update about how that's going, how the other town halls have been going, and kind of what the purpose of this work group will be, and what the overall outcome we should expect from them. So we're going to start today with a conversation, just kind of an introduction about what the work group is, why this is important work. And as we are having that conversation, if you could type your questions into the comment box, and we will get to those as we go through this conversation today. So just start off with a basic question. Why one ISP?
Well, so I don't know if people know this or not, but we actually have hundreds of different forms that are used to develop service plans for people in our system who receive DB services in Ohio. And so this makes it really difficult, right? It makes it really difficult for families when if they move, they have to change to whatever the agency or county they're moving to, whatever form they have. So it just makes a lot of sense to have one that everyone uses. And an OISP, by the way, is really just an individual service plan. So it's just a document that authorizes any services someone's going to receive in the DB system.
So who's affected by an ISP or individual service plan? Who develops it? Who reads it? What does it inform?
So if you receive county board services and you receive a waiver, the SSA at the county board, sometimes they're called service coordinators. I think in Lucas County they're called SASs, service consultants, but the administrative rule calls it a service and support administrator. And they are the entity in the county board system that is responsible for completing an assessment for an individual receiving services, Medicaid services, and coordinating those services with the team to develop the document that provides direction to a service provider. If you receive, if you live in an ICF, the person is responsible for developing those plans is called a Q, which is the same exact sort of function as a county board SSA. So anyone who receives services that are funded by the county board system, particularly Medicaid services, are required to have an annual service plan.
And those waivers would be the level 1 waiver, the self waiver, or the individual options or IO waiver in our system. And an ICF is an intermediate care facility, just for folks that may not know those acronyms.
Can I just add, so not only the person who's responsible for writing the plan, but really it's a document that should be developed with the person, with their families, right? And ultimately it should be a team effort to pull together the information that goes into this plan and ultimately utilized by the person and whoever is providing their direct support.
That's a great segue. We talk a lot about being person-centered, and that's a requirement in our system. Mm-hmm. Is it possible to have one template for everybody and still be person-centered?
So we always have said that it's not about the template. Quite honestly, it's really about the information that goes into that template, right? What I learn about someone and add into that plan is really what makes that a person-centered plan. Because quite honestly, you can have a really great template, but if you don't get to know someone well, you can still put things in there that aren't necessarily person-centered. So we believe that there's still plenty of flexibility to allow for good quality person-centered planning while standardizing the forms that are being used.
Because the elements that are required in the forms are already standardized, right? So we have lots of administrative rules that require certain things to be addressed or assessed at least for an individual. And so it's really about the words around the person. My plan should not look like Kelly's plan because we are different people people have different strengths and different needs. So, yes, we believe that you absolutely can have a very person-centered plan that is on a standardized document.
So I hear a lot about rules, regulations, requirements, county board services, Medicaid, all these kind of words. Like, why should families and people with disabilities care about having one plan? What's in it for them?
Well, I mentioned it earlier, one thing that I would see as a benefit is just that for the first time in our system, the person, it is truly their plan, because no matter where they go in the state of Ohio, they take it with them, right? It becomes a portable document. I also learned that families can know what to expect from the process, no matter where they go in Ohio, whether it is an ICF or whether it's going to a county board, it'll be the same. And so we would like to think that it will be more portable, and truly families and the person who receives services can take ownership, that it is their person-centered plan, not the agency that developed it for them.
So let's get down to some of the nuts and bolts. What's the process? How's this work going to be completed? How do we kick it off?
So I do want to say, to be clear, that Kelly and I are not running the work group. We are not the work group. Kelly has said several times, we're not out there doing the work right now, right? So we need to make sure that we're talking to people who are really kind of in the thick of it. And so we're doing a couple of things. We're starting off with these feedback forums. We're doing this as well as we're doing some in-person around the state, making sure that we're talking to lots of different people so that we can collect their feedback about how planning is going, how assessment is going, things like that. And then from that, the work group will begin. They begin their work in July.
Well, the work group, well, I think we were very deliberate in making sure that we had the right people in the room, right? So we certainly have county board representation, we will have family representation, people who receive services will be on the committee. We have direct service providers that are going to be on the committee, and then people from the department or other state agencies that may have some expertise about some of the details around service planning will be sort of an advisory group. But the decisions and the discussions will happen with the stakeholders. So, and that is why we're sort of gathering lots of information around the state, because we know that we can't have a work group of 800 people. So we're trying to develop, I think, a pretty good communication plan about how we will communicate our progress. I think our communications group has come up with an idea to interview somebody who's on the committee at the end of each meeting to sort of summarize what we've accomplished, and maybe some homework that was assigned out for the next month. We're going to continue to have town hall meetings. And Kelly and I talked about, maybe after the first two meetings, having another regional set of community meetings. We could do this again if people thought it was helpful, just to give an update and keep people up to date. So if you're not on the committee, you still have a lot of opportunity to give us your feedback. And then we will pilot the process to see what's this great idea, how does this great idea work, and we'll process. We'll pilot that with large agencies, family members, and then that work group is going to be responsible for taking that information in and then tweaking and making decisions about changes that might need to be made.
Great. So I know there's an email address that if folks aren't able to attend any of these town hall meetings, not able to either interact with work group members or whatever the case may be, can you give the email address that folks can send emails to?
Sure. I'll take a shot. It is OSSAS at symbol DODD.ohio.gov.
Great. So what's the expectation for kind of the timeline of this group, of the work group, and the work to be completed, or you said the pilot project? What's kind of the timeline that families can expect from this?
So because we have said for so long it's not about the template, we felt it really important that we didn't spend a lot of time developing something. And so we actually have some pretty aggressive timelines, which is why we've spent so much time trying to collect feedback. Because when the work group starts in July, we're really going to hit the ground running. We hope to be able to start piloting whatever the work group has come up with in January of 2020. And as Kelly said, once that pilot starts, we're going to ask the work group to then kind of shift gears a little bit and start looking at the feedback that we're collecting from families and the person whose plan it is on how things are going. Looking at the feedback from the people who are writing the plan and implementing the plan. So the work group will then be responsible for looking at all of that data and making decisions about are any changes necessary. We want to make sure we have a really good, solid set of templates or a template before it gets rolled out across the state.
Yeah, and we're doing a bunch of work right now where we're analyzing all our administrative rules to make decisions about what are all the rules that talk about planning? Do they have the same requirements?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have conflicting requirements? Because sometimes that has happened in the past. And then making decisions about here are the standard elements that need to be identified on a person's service plan. It doesn't mean that I may not need something in some of those areas, and that's okay. Kelly might need something in one of those areas, but so we want to give the committee something to react to. And so the first thing that we're going to react to is all the elements that the rules currently require to be identified in a person's service plan.
There was just one other thing I wanted to add to make sure that folks, Kelly mentioned a variety of roles, right? We have people who receive services, we have family members, we have a lot of different roles represented on the work group, but I think it's also important to mention that we've also taken a look at diversity amongst where they're coming from in Ohio, right? Whether it's you're coming from a really large county or a really small county, in the Appalachian area of Ohio, making sure that we have a diverse group as far as experiences and expertise, because again, we know that we have a very diverse state, and so we wanted to make sure that we had that as much as possible in the 25 people who are part of the work group.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So as the communication team compiles some of your questions, I want to remind folks that we will be sharing a lot of the work group updates on all of our social media channels. Subscribe to Family Connection. That will be a great source of information for you to get information from a family perspective that we'll keep in touch over. So do you have... Oh, okay, so let's go back to the beginning. We have some people logging on. Just a quick recap again about what the work group is, maybe what the purpose is of the work group, and its overarching goal.
So not only do we have 88 county boards, we have 88 different kinds of service plans in county boards, and then we have lots and lots of service providers in the ICFs who have their own templates of a service plan, and it is very challenging for providers and family members, and I'm sure individuals receiving services, because they all look very different. So our new director made it a priority that it was time for our state to have a single service plan. And I think we've been talking about it for at least 20 years that I can remember. And it's getting a little boring, quite honestly, right? To keep saying what should be in a plan, what should be in a plan. And so we've made this commitment that we are going to develop this work group that's charge is going to be to develop this standardized service plan and assessment process in Ohio. No matter where you live or what service you're provided, you will have a service plan. And if I move from Athens County and I move to Ashtabula, I take my service plan with me, and people are familiar with it, right? Nobody has to sort of relearn all the things that are in the document.
And maybe a quick overview of who is going to be represented on the work group, and maybe a little bit about that process again.
Sure.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Okay. So the work group is made up of about 25 people. Variety of roles. We really try to consider all of the different folks who are impacted by assessment and planning in Ohio. So we have folks who receive services, we have family members, we have direct support professionals. So the person who's in there, one-on-one providing support. We have folks who are writing plans, so whether that be an SSA in waiver world or a Q in the ICF world, we have leadership from those various agencies. And then in addition to that, really diverse group, which is diverse in where they come from in Ohio as well as is kind of their specializations. So in addition to that, we have another group that's really going to be kind of subject matter experts, and we like to, those are going to be folks who have a lot of information that they can share with the group when it comes up. So maybe questions around Medicaid, the group might come to some questions that are causing them to, kind of hit a roadblock. We have those experts in the room who can provide some feedback for that. Those work groups start off in July, and we expect them to run for about a year.
Great. So I think we're going to move on to a couple. The first one that we had was somebody has signed up for updates. When can they expect the first ones to start going out?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We are still in the process of collecting feedback. So we have this session today, obviously, and then we have one more in-person feedback forum. I know one of the things that we're going to ask our work group to start with is really looking at all the data we've collected about what's working and what's not working with assessment and planning. And so that'll be the first thing that we're sharing with the world as well, is here are the themes of that data. I would hope that, it's going to go out before the work group starts, so I would expect to get something in early July. We'll have a lot more things kind of confirmed and ready to go. So.
Okay. Not a whole lot of questions coming in online, it looks like. If you could, just one more time for folks that want to give feedback throughout the process that, again, may not have contact with somebody on the work group specifically, what's the email address that they can send that information to?
The email address is OSSAS @ right? DODD.ohio.gov.
And you can, of course, as I said earlier, we're going to keep all this information flowing on social media, through Family Connection, through any type of connection that you have with the department. You will be hearing a lot about this work group, updates from the work group, and have your opportunity to provide feedback. So unless we've got anything else at this point in time, I'd really like to thank Kelly and Kelly for sitting here today and and providing families the opportunity to hear how important this work is, what the process is going to be, and what they can expect at the end of it. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who logged on and watched. If you are watching this not live or in an archived version, remember all this information is accurate as of June 6th, but you can stay up to date on all the newest information and updates by following our social media channels, DODD Ohio. Thanks everybody. Hope you'll tune in next time for our next Family Talk.